I get it fully. I am for stability. That's what sound currency is. I'm for seeing a rising tide of prosperity happen very gently. This is how we could have it. We could have it our way, we the people, through sound currency. This is fundamentally what people got to understand. This could happen gently, but it's not being allowed to. This is why we've got to hit this wall. And this wall, from everything I know about the Bible and Scripture and prophecy, is going to happen in the form of this battle of Armageddon. Because they're pushing the envelope. They just can't stop. They're just like, it's like, don't muzzle an ox while it's threshing, while it's feeding. You don't want to do that. You've got to let these people go on their way. They're feeding frenzy of evil. It's all, no holds barred anymore. These people are, just out in the open. Anything goes. And, yes, we're hired ISIS to do our dirty work. We don't know why we want to throw down Assad, why we can't stand him. Maybe he won't go into debt with the bankers. And, he doesn't want, he's an egalitarian. He wants the best for his people. Like Muammar Gaddafi, who was doing so many good things in North Africa. He was an egalitarian, helping the poor. So they hate these people because they want their people out of oppression. Which is done through impoverishment. Okay, and the banksters, these money printing class, and all their black hat political whores that go along with it sycophantically, they're working with them, and they try to control every aspect of the military. But the people in the military are waking up to all this, and they know, man, this really is coming down to a battle of the Armageddon. If we got black hats out there that are actually, they're quasi proxies of our military under the disguise of Al Qaeda or ISIS, whatever, they're all working together. It's all part and parcel, one and the same group. These murderous gaggle of thugs out there. We've got real problems in the military. If these are some of our guys by proxy, so these are quasi, American soldiers in different get-ups and flying under a different flag, then we've got some serious problems to contend with. So maybe this really is like Bible prophecy being fulfilled. I've got a Palestinian friend. He said, yeah, well, they get into Bible prophecy. They got their own thing from the Quran, but they respect all the prophets and all this stuff. So Muslims are in tune to all this last day, end of the age prophecy. And he said that, yes, it's going to happen like in that area, they say, this return of Jesus. Whatever the Mahdi, some people say they got the false Messiah, whatever the case may be, because it talks about this false Messiah coming first. But I think that's probably the Pope. That's probably the Antichrist, the substitute, the stand-in. Not that he's opposed to Christ necessarily, but that's all the word meant originally, and that's the context we should use anti when we talk about Antichrist, a substitute, a stand-in. So if there's one representative that was the Antichrist, it would be the Pope. And like it's written in Scripture, there are many Antichrists because many substitutes, but these are people that, say things and do things under that pretext, that pretense, but really they're working against the truth. They're a substitute, stand-in, a phony, a pseudo. But so whatever the case may be, my friend says, my Muslim friend from Palestine says that it's all supposed to happen on the road to Damascus, just like the Apostle Paul. This is where his conversion took place. This is where Jesus decided to appear to him. So this is the last known time that Jesus appeared on the earth, was to convert Paul from his wicked ways, because he was God's worst enemy. He was the first Christian disciples' worst enemy. This guy, he was persecuting the Christians. So this is where God had a little talk with him through Jesus coming, through this advanced technology, these angelic crafts that they can ride around in. That's it. They have greater knowledge. That's it. It's technology. These are beings like Jesus and the angels that have these bodies that are imperishable. We're much like them. It's written in Scripture that human beings are created just a little lower than the angels. We are also created beings. They are created beings. The difference is that we have perishable bodies. We have a curse upon the earth that needs to be lifted. This is where the end of the age prophecy comes in. The harvest of the souls of men, when this multitude of angels comes at the return of Jesus. And the wicked from the righteous are separated. The wicked go here to hell, wherever that painful place may be. Below ground, it all fits right in to the things we know already on a very tangible basis. And then the meek, the righteous, inherit the earth, those that are found worthy and deserving. And it's a renewed earth when the curse is lifted, when the whole predator and prey thing is no more, when we don't need vast amounts of protein to satisfy ourselves, when these divine imperishable bodies are satisfied from eating strictly the flora, and it'll be the same for all the other creatures that are allowed to continue to exist on the earth. The lions and tigers and bears and wolves and on, the sharks and the dogs and whatever, they're all satisfied eating a different meal which doesn't consist of predation, that consists of eating the flora. That's my own conjecture. It's not all necessarily written, but it does talk about the lions laying down and eating straw with the lamb. So, this is the foundation. This is where I'm deriving these principles. Now, about our present economic system, let me say this much. Anytime you've got the government, the political class, that's a special interest group, colluding with private interests, it is at least a quasi form of fascism, kind of, sort of, okay? Because the interests of the people, we the people at large, get conflated with the interests of these entities, which are actually anti-interest. They're opposed. Their interests are diametrically opposed. And it is the snake eating its tail. It cannot succeed. It was meant to succeed. It's a Ponzi scheme. It's a rapacious and mutant and predatory form of Darwinism. Okay? This is what has permeated our culture. This is our new economic paradigm. Our new economic reality is based on fraud and nonsense. It's illogical. It cannot succeed. And it's failing right and left, okay? And I've already pointed to the evidence. We've lost prosperity in California. It's gone, and it's sweeping across the rest of the nation. And the way they steal your prosperity is through stealing your right to own property, your right to own a home, okay? Because this has always been, traditionally, the greatest measure, the greatest metric, gauge of prosperity is through home ownership. And we've lost it. California has lost it. The majority of California residents are now poor. And that's sweeping across the country. Maybe a little more slowly than it happened here, but it's coming. So the sooner that you guys get on board with what's coming, the better you can fight it and how they're doing it. If interest rates go up even a tiny percent, understand, if the Fed raises that interest rate they're talking about, because they've got rapacious loans here at the, money changing places where, check cash and whatever they want to call it, that, they could pay these ungodly amounts of interest they can charge. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what's going to affect the mortgage holder. And that's going to affect housing costs. You understand? Because they won't be able to charge as much for their house if interest goes up, because so much more of the principal that people will have to pay will go to paying the interest on the money, the cost for renting the money they use to buy their home. So understand, it'd be very disruptive to the economy, to this current Ponzi scheme, and they can't have it. Because a lot of people say this is the greatest way to, solve economic problems. Just let the interest rates go up, people get to save money, they're incentivized to save, and all that. It's a drop in the bucket. They say, well, we need to reinstate the Glass-Steagall Act and regulate, these banking wolves, and don't let them just dump all this currency on the housing market like they've done that caused prices to skyrocket overnight. It's too late. That ship has sailed. All these things are just drop in a bucket. It's the minutia. We need to focus on the big picture, and that is gaining control of the issuance of currency. That's the only hope we have, short of something as profound as the return of Jesus. I just don't see things turning around politically, and that is economically. It's all part and parcel. It's all one and the same right now. People all over are profiting at the loss of others, okay, and that's not okay. And then people wonder how the wealth disparity grows. Okay, it's very simple how the wealth disparity grows, through nonsensical economic policies, all right? And It's got to end, and we've got to put the axe to the root of the problem, the cause. Again, that is the money printing. We need to demand sound currency under no uncertain terms. And if we fail at doing that, we can expect the wealth disparity to continue to grow and for poverty to continue to explode and the loss of the middle class to continue to grow. To acquiesce and conform to this current economic system in any way only feeds the beast. It's like they got us at an auction and they're telling us, look, as long as you can afford this, you do it. You can't worry about those poor schmoes. Those are the weak. This is what they want us to believe, that this is okay, but it's not okay. It's the furthest thing from okay. You hurt other people because of your ability to pay the high cost of living. You paying your taxes and conforming hurts me. So stop complaining about having to pay for this or that. Just don't do it. That's your choice. You can find loopholes. You can get an attorney. You can evade your taxes. But the worst, most pernicious tax of all, again, is just the simple cost of living. And your willingness to pay it hurts me. Again, like being at an auction. How because you have the means to pay